que você ama em uma universidade? Aprender na prática com grandes empresas? Conviver com pessoas que mudam o mundo? Ou estudar em uma estrutura com padrão internacional? Na Anhembi Morumbi, tudo isso acontece. Venha descobrir por que milhares de alunos amam estudar aqui. Acesse anhembi.br e faça sua matrícula. Amo é Anhembi Morumbi. Aqui tudo acontece.
Tem um momento na carreira que precisamos dar um passo além. É hora de fazer uma pós-graduação. Só que muitas vezes o custo pesa no bolso, inviabilizando tudo. Com a pós-graduação do Senac, você não tem esse problema. Cursos com até 50% de desconto e muito mais tempo para pagar. TCC opcional, modelo flexível com aulas presenciais e online e alguns cursos com apenas 12 meses de duração. Não tem mais desculpa, hein? Saiba mais em sp.senac.br/pós-graduação.
All right. Welcome back. If you're a veteran and you're struggling or feel like you are leading a path towards the darkness, stop and think about those who are around you. Think about how they truly value you, how they will miss you. You are not alone. You need to talk to someone. Someone will listen to you. If you feel like you'll be a burden to someone, or you don't feel like you should put that weight on your inner circle, call the hotline at 988 and take option 1. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you're a new listener, thanks for joining us. Please subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast apps. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at _MisFitNation. It's _MisFitNation. This will keep you up to date with our latest news, episodes, and of course, our great guests. Our next guest is a veteran of the British Army and has now moved on to his next chapter in life where he spends a lot of his time podcasting and vlogging. He's an advocate for veterans in Britain and a great voice on podcasts. So without further ado, let's welcome Tim Heale to the Misfit Nation. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, thanks, Rich. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Oh, it's great to be able to connect across the pond like this, especially with a fellow Army veteran, even though you were on the other side of the pond with the British Army. I was with the U.S. Army. But I'm sure we've seen a lot of the same craziness during our careers.
Oh, yes.
So, Tim, if you don't mind,
Been
I know I
around
just
the
gave
block a few times.
a few times around the block and a few flat tires and came back out of it. If you don't mind, Tim, tell us a little more about yourself from as far back as you want to go to where we are today.
Oh, quick potted history because we're short on time, obviously, with this show. I joined the British Army way back in 1974 as a young boy soldier. I did my first posting was into Germany. I went to Munster in Germany and had just over a year there before we came back to the UK. And in the UK, I did my first tour of Northern Ireland. Saw my first dead body in Northern Ireland. And got into an awful lot of rucks with the IRA and the Protestants, and everybody was against us over there. I mean, it's a great training ground, but and I did several other tours of Northern Ireland in my career. And then in the later years, when I left the regular service, I joined the reserves, and from the reserves, I went full-time reserve. You couldn't make it up, so I ended up doing effectively a double career, and I did altogether 44 years under the colours.
Oh, wow.
I spent 10 years in psychological operations and 7 operational tours. So I did 2 tours of Kosovo back in 99 and 2000. The following year in 2001 I did Macedonia, which was only a 90-day op, and during that op 9/11 happened. 5 months later, I'm flying into Kabul. So I did the best part of 6 months in Kabul. And then in 2003, I went to Iraq. And then I did the 2 further tours of Helmand province in Afghanistan in 2006 and 2009. And when I came back in 2009, I left psychological operations and I ended up as a welfare officer in London Central Garrison. And I did that for 8 years, looking after other people's welfare. And it kind of sneaks up on you a bit. Then I left the army altogether. I retired in 2018 at the age of 60. And a couple of years later, I had a little bit of a wobble. When you're in amongst it, you don't worry about it. You just get on with the job. That's what you're taught to do. I had a little bit of a wobble. I contacted the old quack, the doctor. He referred me on to the mental health team. Unfortunately, for me, they were civilians. Although they were professional, they knew what they were talking about. They couldn't really help me because they just didn't understand the stuff that I've been through. I managed to talk to some mates and got myself sorted out, and I'm okay now. Occasionally I still have a little bit of but I'm generally all right. Off the back of that, where I've retired to is down the south coast of England. So if you look at England, you look right along the south coast, there's a big island called the Isle of Wight. Well, I don't live there, but you've got the Solent, which is the bit of water between the island and the mainland. If you just look to the right or to the northeast, you've got Portsmouth Harbour, which is a big naval base. And just on the other side of the harbour, you've got a place called Gosport, and that's where I live. Gosport is famous for being one of the main embarkation beaches for D-Day, the 6th of June. So that's where most of the troops set off from, was Gosport, and they were billeted around the Gosport area.
Wow. That's a good piece of history right there.
Yeah, I mean, and off the back of that, I'm part of a group called Conflict Military Museum Gosport. We're just hopefully getting the keys to some new premises tomorrow. And we've got guys with tons of stuff. Lots of it Second World War. So they've got vehicles, guns and all sorts of things. But we're not just restricting it to the Second World War. We're looking to do more or less the whole of Gosport's military history. And there's a ton of it going way back. So that's what our museum is going to be. And we're going to involve lots of different veterans. So I'm in touch with lots of other different veterans groups. And I've got lots of veterans that are keen to come along and help. We're also going to bring alongside that, hopefully, some youths, some kids, and get them involved with that side of the history. So, yeah, we're pretty busy down here in Gosport, and along with the naval base. I mean, there's the museum side of the naval base over in Portsmouth. We got the oldest serving flagship for the Royal Navy, the First Sea Lord's ship, HMS Victory, and I'm a member of the senior rates mess on HMS Victory, and we have a lunchtime drink on there on a Friday and a meat raffle. What else we've got going? So in the dockyard there, we've got the Mary Rose, we've got HMS Warrior, which is the first ironclad warship. Across in Gosport, we've got the Explosion Museum, we've got the Submarine Museum, we've got the Dive Museum. There's a ton of stuff here. Wow. I mean, it is an awesome place. And we had a national census a while back, and they just released a couple of weeks ago the the results of the census, and there was a question on that about being a veteran and where you live. And it turns out that there are two places in the country where there are hotspots. There's one up in North Yorkshire, a place called Richmond, which is around Catterick Garrison. So there's quite a lot of veterans around there. But the number one place where veterans live is right here in Gosport. We've got the most concentration of veterans in the country, which is great for us because it means that there's lots and lots of different groups.
Right. And a lot of eyes are on the veteran causes then, so it helps out a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got access to lots and lots of guys that want to maintain the links with the military, and we're able to do that. One of the groups I'm a member of is Buns and Banter, and they meet up once a month on a Wednesday. So I was there this morning, first Wednesday of the month, just along in Leon Solent, and we had a big crowd there today. We had to bring in extra chairs and tables because there's so many of us, and a few weeks ago that group organised for us to go to HMS Sultan to what they call ceremonial divisions, and it's just like a big parade of the whole of the HMS Sultan is a training school for engineers, Royal Naval Engineers, and it's like a big passing out parade, but the whole establishment turns to on the parade square, and there's a big parade and everything like that, band playing and one thing and another, and they invited us veterans along to have a chat with some of the young people that's going through. So that was a really good day out. What else we got going on? There's another group that I went over to this afternoon, which is called Veterans Outreach Support, and that's based in Portsmouth, just across the harbour. So I have to catch a ferry across there, and it's in the Royal Maritime Club, and they had a drop-in centre. So they get lots of different agencies in once a month, first Wednesday of the month. So they've got people like SAFA, they've got Veterans UK, Service Dogs UK, the Alcoholics Anonymous, there's all different agencies in there that are there to help veterans, and there's lots of veterans turn up and they help them through some problems. There's another group tomorrow afternoon, which is a part of the VOS group that we meet up in Stubbington, which is just outside Gosport, and we have tea and cakes there, and once a month we have bacon and sausage sandwiches. And that's the last Thursday of the month, so that's a must to turn up to. There's another group across on the Isle of Wight. I went across on Sunday to a breakfast club in a place called Ryde. So I had to get two ferries across to get there. So I got the Gosport ferry and then the ferry from Portsmouth to Ryde, and then and I went up and had a fat boys breakfast on a Sunday morning, and then come back on the two ferries. It just never stops.
I was gonna say, it seems like every day you have something for the whole month is lined up. It's kind of like you still are in the military. You have a checklist of everything you have to do every day, and you meet all those check marks, and then still do your live shows.
Absolutely. So I'll do a live show on a Tuesday evening, which goes out at 8:00 Greenwich Mean Time, and it's a quiz. So I'm on for an hour, and we do about 25 questions. We have about 10 fun facts. So it's me just spouting off for an hour, running through these questions, giving the answers, interacting with the people that's joining in. So if anybody wants to join in, if they go onto YouTube and look for Live Awesome Quiz and Fun Facts, you'll be most welcome to come and join in. It's like a general knowledge, but they're fairly easy. Fairly easy questions. We've got the dressing for for the quiz. And then on a Thursday evening at 7 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, I do another live show which is called Everyday Conversations Regarding Mental Health, and we cover lots of different topics around the mental health. We try and focus mainly towards veterans, but we don't just limit it to veterans. So I've covered subjects like bereavement, suicide. At the moment there's an unprecedented amount of veterans that are taking their own lives. So we've covered that and just trying to put the message out there. It's okay not to be okay, and there's plenty of help out there. We're lucky in the UK where we've got somewhere around about 2,000 charities just directed at veterans. So there's a whole raft of charities out there that just help veterans. So, and there's an awful lot of veterans groups around that are set up to help veterans that are struggling. And we just can't push the message enough that if you are having a bit of a wobble, then talk to somebody. Don't go and take your own life, because there's no future in that.
Right.
It all ends. And the biggest problem with that is that the guy that's bottled out for decades, that can't see a way out of it, thinking that got a mental health problem, it's a problem, because they in the military it's been a stigma, and to try and break that stigma they feel that they failed or they're weak or something like that, and they're not. And that's the message that we're trying to get out. It's not, you're not weak. Anybody and everybody can suffer from a condition, a mental health condition, where they don't feel right in themselves, and it's okay not to be okay. And if you can seek that help, great. Don't go off and top yourself, because you leave behind such a problem. You might have solved your problem and got out, but you leave an awful lot of pain for people.
Yes.
And it's not great. My best mate took his own life back in 2005, and it's a real struggle at getting over it.
Yeah, it's not a fun thing to go through. I'm sure when your best mate did that, it brought the darkness to you and probably everyone that knew him.
Yeah.
It took probably a long time to climb back out of that.
Yeah, and the problem is he left two kids behind. One of them was just a young lad. I mean, he was 7 when his dad died, and it only came out a few months ago when I was actually covering the story of mental health and suicide, that he had been blaming himself for his dad's death all of these years.
Oh wow!
And yeah, we had a conversation about it, and just reassured him it had nothing to do with him. It wasn't his fault,
Right.
but he'd been carrying that all these years, and yeah. So it's, if there's veterans out there that are feeling that they've got a problem, the first thing is to identify that you have a problem yourself. Once you come to terms with that, then you could get it dealt with. It doesn't have to end like that. I mean, somebody who's determined to take their life, you generally don't know that they're going to do it until it's happened.
Right.
And they're good at it because they've done it right the first time. Somebody that attempts it and doesn't get it right the first time and they survive, it's generally a call for help. And those are the people that we really try to help.
Kind of get
So
them out of
that's
that cycle at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has a little wobble occasionally.
Yeah.
Some of us have more wobbles than others, and some, yeah, I mean, some people, it manifests into some really complex issues. There's a couple of groups that I've worked with that are that deal with these guys that have got complex PTSD, for want of another term. I mean, I think the term PTSD is overused. I mean, you could term that I've got PTSD with my little wobbles, but it's not. It's just I get a little bit emotional over some stuff, but I've seen a huge amount of shit. The amount of stuff that I've seen in my military career would break most civvies. They wouldn't survive it.
Especially as long
But
as
I've
you were
dealt
in.
with all that in my own way.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've talked it through and being a welfare officer and some of the courses that I did. So I've done mental health, first aid. I've done suicide awareness. I've done TRIM, which is trauma incident management. I was a coordinator and a practitioner at it. I've done care for the carers. So I've done all of these courses. So I can see in myself some of the issues, and I know where to go and how to get it dealt with. So from personal experience, I know how I can help others. And there are several groups, particularly around this area, that are helping out. There's a group over in Portsmouth, a place called Fort, forgotten the name of it now, Fort Cumberland. It's called Forgotten Veterans UK, and they bring in guys that have got complex issues, and they've got a new way of dealing with it. They give them their problem back and give them the tools to be able to sort themselves out while helping them. I mean, they don't just say, right, it's your problem, deal with it.
Right.
They give them the tool set to be able to do it. And they've had quite a lot of success. There's another group, I did an interview a couple of weeks ago with Service Dogs UK, and this is a group that's set up to marry up a veteran with a rescue dog. There's quite a long process. It takes about a year working with these guys, and the dog is trained to recognise when the veteran is having an issue or is having an episode, and the dog's there is to recognise that and work with the veteran to calm them down and bring them back down from the episode that they're having. And they've had a lot of success. They've had about 35 veterans go through that in the last few years. So it's an ongoing process. So each year, the handler or the veteran and the dog have to be re-qualified. So they have to go back and do a few tests and stuff like that. So to re-qualify, and once they're qualified, they've got exactly the same rights as a guide dog for the blind.
Wow.
Which is a great charity.
Yes. And those dogs are amazing with us as veterans, and they seem to know things way before we want to tell people something's wrong with us. A dog will know, and I have a dog here that he'll come right to my side when he knows I'm going through my wobbles, like you were saying. He'll come right next to me and just sit with me, just in the hey, I'm here with you. You're not alone.
We've got a dog at the moment. He'll actually sit on you.
Hope it's not a giant dog.
Yeah, he's a nuisance first thing in the morning. He wants to play with the ball and jumping up and down on the bed. I'm trying to sleep. I want to lay in.
He's trying to get you going on your schedule. So there you go. He knows your schedule.
Yeah, and at the moment, the vets have got him down as a serial humper.
Oh, wow. Great.
Yeah, he's not funny. He's not clever. And come January, he's getting them off. we'll cure that problem.
I hope. Yeah. I hope he just doesn't do it without any tools behind him.
Yeah, a couple of bricks.
A couple of bricks. He'll be mad for a little bit, but then he'll come back to you.
Yeah.
So just speaking to you, I can see that both sides of the pond, our armies, our military veterans are having the same issues. Here we have the 22 service member veterans a day we lose to suicide. And that's the documented number, not the numbers that could be drug related, accidents and stuff like that. So the number could actually be double, and that's since probably around 2016 when they started broadcasting this stuff. And I'm sure it's been the same over there in the UK, that they kind of kept it quiet.
They've only just started recording that it's a veteran that's taken their life in the last year. So we've got a fairly accurate number of the veterans that have been taking their own lives, which is way off the scale. It's way outweighs those that in the civilian life are doing it. We've also got the other issue that we've got so many veterans living on the street. And we've also got so many veterans in prison because of these issues that they've been having. And I think, and a lot of these veterans are from our sort of Northern Ireland days, the Falklands days, the first Gulf, and I think the Balkans are starting to come through as well. And I think we've got a tsunami coming with Iraq and Afghan veterans. I think we're going to see an awful lot of problems coming down our road. And the problem is that in this country, the budgets just get cut. People don't want to go into mental health support. So it's left up to the service charities. The government keep cutting budgets left, right, and Chelsea. I mean, this country we've got such big debt. It's unbelievable the amount of debt that we're in for, and a lot of that is down to the pandemic and what we went through with that. And it's not great at the moment, and they keep taxing my pension, which really gives me the hump.
Yeah, they get you twice there. They got you for service all those years, and then they're taking it back on the back end. So that's not fun.
Yeah, takes the fun out of it a bit.
Yes. We talked a little bit about your book, your collaboration book with the Podmatch book. If you want to plug that here, that'd be great. I think I had one of your fellow authors, Michael Harris, is who I had on here.
There's the books.
There it is.
Podmatch Guest Mastery and Podmatch Host Mastery, and I was in the host one, that one.
Yeah. So
I helped collaborate on that. There's all the guys that have collaborated, and these are all people that have been in the top 10 in each of the host or the guest with Podmatch. The guys from Podmatch are actually coming over to London next May to the London podcast show, and I'm going to be going along and helping them out on the stall. Maybe I'll get to sign a few autographs.
Take pictures with them.
Yeah, #1 best-selling author and all that. So
that's outstanding. Michael Harris was the other author from the book that I had on just a few weeks ago. So that's why when I seen your picture, I was like, "Wow, I think I just did this interview," but now I know I wasn't seeing things. Good.
Well, what's not to like?
Yeah, see, and you have a Christmas tree, much better background, so it's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's all to do with image.
Yes,
it's been a great guest and a great host.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
so Tim, how does someone get in contact with you to maybe come on your show, or like I know you like to collaborate and maybe do guest hosting? How does someone get in contact with you to do that?
Dead easy. If you go onto Podmatch, search for me on there. I'm fairly easy to find. I've taken my foot off the gas slightly. I've dropped down the rankings a bit at the moment, but come the new year, I'll get back into it. I interview people and talk about their lives. So I have a basic format that I work to. Is I ask people when and where they were born. I'll ask them to describe what it was like where they grew up, the schools they went to, the education they got, and we knock that round and pull out some nuggets of information that they've long forgotten about. Then we look at their work-life history, and then we'll go on to where the conversation takes us. And there's, I think, about 150 of those episodes out there. I also guest on people's shows, like I'm doing yours, and I try and be original and different for every show that I do. So that's and that's easy to find on YouTube. It's Tim Heale 9. So that's dead easy. There it is, Tim Heale 9. That's on YouTube, and you'll find those. The on that channel, there's also the everyday conversations regarding mental health on there, and there's 1.25 hour shows every Thursday. I used to do 2-hour shows prior to that, so there's quite a few 2-hour shows. I've also split the 2-hour shows down into four half-an-hour episodes, so you can get it in bite size. And then there's the quiz channel, so awesome live, awesome quiz and fun facts. And I'm only one of about 3 people that actually do a live quiz show. So you can interact with the live quizzes, and yeah, so you see how well you do with 25 questions, and you can pop that into the chat box, and there's a prize that money just cannot buy, and I'll just leave that hanging there.
Just leave it
hanging
there.
That money just cannot buy.
Outstanding. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Tim Heale for coming on all the way from across the pond there. So I know it's pretty late there, probably what, 11, 12 o'clock at night there.
Try 12:30.
Past 12. See, I'm on my time zones aren't as good as they should be, but thank you for staying up this late, and I know you'll be up early again tomorrow to start this whole routine again, and hopefully your dog gets
every day's a new day.
Every day is victory once you wake up, so that's all we need to do.
Yep.
Any parting words?
If I can get out of bed, so much the better. Some days there's so much pain I can't. I end up staying in bed and popping pills, but that's a different story altogether. Underneath this gorgeous exterior, there's an absolute train wreck going on.
I think we all have those issues. Again, Tim, thanks a lot for being on.
No, thank you, Rich.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. It's themisfitnation.com to catch up on all of our episodes and also to get some of that great Misfit Nation gear. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are